what makes my point of view um, what makes my point of view different or valuable. Hey y'all, it's Shay and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some things regarding starting something new or restarting something that you haven't done for a long time, and the discomfort that comes along with that, and having to overcome the challenges and the emotions that come up, and what are some of the tips and tricks that we can do to face those things. If you were around the last time my channel was active, you'll know that I had a completely different direction. I was sharing art that I was making at the time, and I didn't really know what I was doing or what my purpose was. I just knew I wanted to be online. Um, my goal was, I think, at that time, was to inspire people and also learn a skill. Now I'm back with a fresh energy, a new direction, and a renewed sense of purpose. This year, I've also committed to my own personal and spiritual development, even though I'm an atheist. I do enjoy learning some stuff about tarot cards. So I am currently learning, and I will probably incorporate that a little bit into my channel. So um, nothing too crazy, but if you see me pull a card or if I talk about an oracle deck or something like that, that'll be why. And part of that journey has also been reestablishing a consistent streaming schedule over on Twitch, which, if you don't know, I stream Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30 p.m. every week over on Twitch. So if you think it'd be a good time to watch some shows with us, play some games, hang out with a community of people who are just having a good time, feel free to hop over there and join us over on Twitch. But for now, what I want to talk about is how much I've been kind of struggling to come back. What are some of the fears that come up when we're starting something new? We're doing something that makes us uncomfortable. It's pushing us out of our comfort zone. What are some of those doubts and those feelings that are coming up? Where are they coming from? What is that imposter syndrome feeling? And what are some of the tips and tricks that we can implement to overcome those feelings and push through them when they're happening so that we can still reach our goals, still be productive in what we want to achieve, despite those feelings still showing up in the moment? So if that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So, what are some of the things that show up? There's fear of failure, there's fear of wasting time, fear of judgment from others, fear of success, which sounds bonkers, right? But it's real. That's real. There's also the fear of the unknown. If it's something you've never done before, or if it's something you haven't done for a long time, is this something that's going to work out for you? Those are all things that can show up. Let's look at each of these individually, right? So fear of failure, that can show up as I'm not ready. It can show up, for me, what happened is it was over planning, right? I was over planning. I kept redesigning things. I was trying to decide if I was going to come back to my original YouTube channel. Was I going to start a new YouTube channel? I designed a whole new brand for a different YouTube channel. Um, I I was in this like redesigning, rediscovery pit, where I was just over planning, over planning, over planning. And I actually saw a video about it where they had discussed getting started on YouTube and how a lot of people feel like they needed to be an architect and build a plan and like have a structure and a plan in mind in order to get started, where in reality you need to take more of an archaeologist approach, where you just start digging without really knowing what's going to happen. And hearing that really helped put into perspective that I was stuck in architecture mode. I really wanted to plan everything. I really needed to have an idea and a structure in mind before I felt comfortable doing. And there was just nothing that was going to make me feel comfortable enough to hit go. And the hard part is um, when you are doing something like starting a YouTube channel or starting a personal project where maybe you want to learn a language or you want to learn an instrument, or something like that, where you're doing it in your own time. Maybe you want to learn to paint. You don't have any external pressure coming from anywhere, like a boss or a colleague or someone else depending on that to happen. And so it's easy to get stuck into these little holes where we're just spinning uncontrollably almost, because, or without an end in sight, because there's nothing there to stop that motion. The other thing that shows up is that fear of judgment, right? Am I going to have information or a perspective that's interesting enough for people to want to pay attention to, or for people to want to listen to? Um, what makes my point of view, um, what makes my point of view different or valuable? Are people going to disagree with me? Are they going to think it's silly, um, or weird? You never know how people are going to take your views, or if they're going to feel the same way that you feel about things. The fear of wasting time. So I've mentioned a couple of times now that I was stuck, right? I've wanted to do this over and over again. I've wanted to start at different points. I've made announcements that I was going to start at different points. I talked to my community about starting at different points. Talked to my friends about starting at different points. And I just could not get myself to a place where I felt comfortable doing it. And to be really honest with you, I'm still not in a place where I'm comfortable doing it. There's that fear of success too sometimes. And like when I say fear of success, it's almost like you are scared to let yourself think about that success and like dream about that success, and like what do you actually want? What are your goals? Because it's scary to let yourself imagine that happening for you, or you can't even imagine that happening for you. And what would that look like? And so even trying to just describe what do I want to do? What does this mean to me? Feels like it can be really overwhelming. So I feel like those are some of the common fears that pop up. I don't believe those are isolated to just me. And I do think that they can apply to a lot of different scenarios, not just YouTube, not just content creation. I think that it can happen when you're starting a new language, you're learning a new skill, you're learning how to paint. If you're wanting to talk to a loved one about that skill, or a friend or a family member, those feelings can come up. You can feel embarrassed or ashamed, um, overwhelmed can come up when you're trying to discuss that with someone else. I think the really tricky part with fear is that it disguises itself as something else a lot of the time. So if it were easy to identify what was happening, then we probably wouldn't get stuck for so long, right? But the problem is that it doesn't show up and say, "Hey, I'm feeling anxious about this because XYZ." Or, "Hey, I don't want to talk to my friends about this because I am scared they're going to judge me." If it were that simple, we could identify it and we could probably move on. But instead, what it does is it disguises itself as other things. So you start to tell yourself, like, "I need to do more research," or "I'll start when things start to calm down." Or other people are already doing this and they're doing it really well. And maybe they have a better education than I do, or they have more information than I do about this topic. So why do I even need to talk about it? It can show up as you saying, like, "Hey, I don't have the right tools. I don't have a ring light. I don't have the right camera. I don't have the right recording system." And then the big one that I think stops a lot of people before we even get started is, what if it doesn't work? And I think when I really started to think about this, is I let the fear of failure make me fail so much. It's kind of crazy. I, if you think about that statement, you're so scared of failing that you don't even want to try. Therefore, you're just defaulting to fail. What? Girl, what? Hello? So, I was like, we gotta not do that. If I'm so scared of failing that I don't even want to try, I'm gonna just default to fail. that's not working for me. So what do, right? We've identified these things are keeping us stuck. These things are holding us back. They're overwhelming. A lot of the time when I get overwhelmed, I just check out. I disconnect from whatever's happening. I don't want to pay attention to it, and that's not productive for me. So what can I do instead? What is the approach that I can take to help move my goals forward? Identify and talk to someone you trust is step one. So whether that is a therapist or a friend, a good Judy, a family member, whoever that might be, not the internet, but whoever else that might be, find them, identify them, and talk to them. Step two is we're going to lower the stakes. If we keep trying to build skyscrapers and plan out those designs, we're not going to achieve those goals. We've never built a skyscraper before, right? I've never had a large, successful YouTube channel. I can't design one. I don't know what that looks like. And if I tried to design one, I am going to drive myself crazy. So instead, we're going to lower the stakes and we're going to do what I can do. I know how to record a video. I know how to edit a video. Those are achievable goals. And then we're going to do step three, which is we're going to focus on progress, not perfection. If we try to get it perfect, we're going to fail 9 times out of 10, especially in the beginning. Any skill you have to develop takes time. Any skill worth developing takes time. You will have those one-off people who are just naturally blessed at everything they do and everything they touch. But for most of us, we're going to have to develop a skill, right? I'm not just going to sit down in front of a camera and be super naturally comfortable. I'm going to have to develop this skill. I'm going to have to make myself more entertaining. It's going to take some time. And then the last thing we're going to focus on is that we're going to remember that clarity comes from action. We're going to focus on remembering that we don't need to figure it all out at first. This is for you and for me. We're going to figure it out while we're doing it. And then lastly, it's not a step, but what I will say is we're going to practice some self-compassion. Because if you think about how you would treat your friend or your family member or your husband or your wife or your partner, if they were trying to start whatever skill you're trying to start, whatever it might be, become the best interior decorator or fashion designer of our time, I would hope that you would give them lots of compassion and grace. So even if they fail, you'd be there to remind them that just trying is enough. Eventually, we'll get there. Just takes time. So, with that, I appreciate you coming to hang out with me today. Thank you for checking out my first video back on my YouTube channel. I did it. I lowered my stakes, and here we are. I'll be aiming to make at least 2 YouTube videos a month, depending on my time and my schedule, but hopefully more if I have the time available. But if you liked what you see, if you enjoy this type of content, if you're interested in seeing what we discover while I am being an archaeologist on my channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, give me a like, leave a comment and let me know what you enjoyed about this video, what you didn't enjoy, what you think I can change, or what you want me to continue. I'm happy to hear all of your feedback. And I'll see you next time on our next topic, whatever that may be. Thanks for being here. Bye.